Welcome to Roughing It with Ruth, the channel where everything is a bit rough around the edges. I'm quite excited to do this video. I was actually watching a different video by a channel called Junk Food in Japan, or Japan Junk Food. I'll put their channel name up here. And what he did is he took $10 and then went and showed what kinds of food he could buy for that in Japan. I don't live in Japan or America, I live in South Africa, so of course I went and Googled what $10 was in South African rands, and it turns out that with the current exchange rate, it is just over 180 rand, which is quite a bit of money. So instantly, because my channel is focused on backpacking and hiking in the outdoors, I wondered if I would be able to make a 2-night, 2-day backpacking trip work with 180 rand or $10. This is the food that I've managed to buy. I'll put the prices on the screen for each item as I mention it. I think all of these items were on special. I bought them from my local grocery store called Checkers, which had some pretty good deals. And unfortunately, I don't have a backpacking trip planned, but I am going to be eating them at home and cooking them as I would on a backpacking trip to make it as authentic as possible. First up, for breakfast, I bought these Bacomo Weet-Bix breakfast biscuits. There are 5 of them in this box. So for 2 breakfasts, I could have 2 with 1 left over. It's very nice. Not sweet, maybe like a very slight sweetness with a slight chocolatey flavor. Not quite as chocolatey as I was expecting from the smell. And then it's got some nice texture in it, like little bits of, I don't know, bran or something. And that's quite nice. It's got a very nice crunch to it. It is pretty dry, so I think I'm going to get a glass of water to have with this. For lunch, I have brown bread, which, it's so nice. It's still warm from the bakery. It's unsliced, and it cost less than 10 rand, which was really impressive. Then I've got some peanut butter, smooth peanut butter to put on there, and that I'm gonna eat for lunch, and I might end up adding an extra sandwich to the breakfast as well, if the breakfast is a little bit thin on the ground. So I'm also going to be preparing the peanut butter sandwiches ahead of time, and I'm going to store them just in an ice cream tub on my counter to kind of simulate the fact that on a backpacking trip I wouldn't have access to a refrigerator or anything like that. So if the bread is going to go moldy, then it's just going to have to go moldy, and I'll have to make a plan with some of my other supplies. But I think for a 2-day backpacking trip, bread should last fine. I haven't had problems with it in the past. The only thing with bread that I have had a problem with is it getting squashed. And you can mitigate that a bit by packing it in something that has hard sides, like an ice cream tub or your cook pot, something that you usually take backpacking anyway. If you're hearing like a constant low hum in the background of this video, it's the generator, our generator and our neighbors' generators, because we currently have load shedding. If you live in South Africa, you're no stranger to load shedding. For people who live in other parts of the world, load shedding is a scheduled power outage that happens nationwide across South Africa as Eskom tries to fix its ailing power grid. So as you can see, I've been very generous with the peanut butter and the thickness of the slices of bread. I still have a good chunk of bread and some peanut butter left. I'm actually probably just gonna make myself a peanut butter sandwich right now because this bread smells so amazing, it's making me hungry. And then I've put all of my other food in this old cake tin, and this is where I'll be pulling it from when I want snacks or breakfast or dinner. In order to simulate the backpacking trip, I am also going to be exercising during the 2 days that I'm going to be eating this food. Tomorrow I'm planning to go for a run in the morning unless it's pouring with rain, which it might be, in which case I will try to go for a run in the afternoon. And on Saturday I am planning to do a 10-kilometer road race. There's a small chance that I might not get an entry for that one, but if that happens, I will also just go and do my own run on the trails somewhere. So I am going to be trying to exercise pretty hard as well to see whether this food is adequate to fuel me for a backpacking trip. For dinners, I've got these Kellogg's 2-minute noodles. There was a special on where if you bought 2 of these packs, so 10 noodles in total, the price was a little bit lower. So I did that, but I'm obviously not going to be eating all 10. I think I might eat 2 of the packets per meal, depending on how big they are. There are 5 packets in here. And then I've got some light meat shredded tuna to add to them just to bulk them up a little bit, because 2-minute noodles really are not very much on their own. That's surprisingly good. I don't normally use cans of tuna when I'm backpacking because they're a little bit heavy. I use like foil flat pack sachets, but obviously in the foil packet there's a lot less tuna. It's quite nice to have so much tuna, like the ratio of noodles to tuna is very nice. The seasoning packets, I did put both of them in with the 2 packets of 2-minute noodles. I don't really taste like a super strong flavor from them. I just kind of taste salt, which is maybe more from the tuna. I don't really get like a chicken flavor, which is what they're meant to be. The noodles themselves have cooked very well. They're like just the right amount of cooked. And I've left a little bit of extra water in because I like my backpacking meals to be quite moist. Then as snacks, I have knick-knack chips. These are just like a cheese-flavored stick chip type thing. I actually really like knick-knacks anyway. And they also survive fairly well in my backpack. I've taken them backpacking before. They don't get crushed as easily because they're a little bit more robust. And I'm a huge chocoholic, so I managed to squeeze into the budget these Wonder Bars as well. I've got 2 of them, so for dessert each night, a Wonder Bar is going to happen. These were the cheapest chocolates that I could find. Ooh, it looks nice.
It does.
So shiny. It tastes a bit like baking chocolate. Like, it tastes like cheap chocolate, but it still tastes like chocolate. So I am just now realizing that I didn't really budget for any kind of drinks. So I'm going to just have to stick to water, which is what I would ordinarily drink on a backpacking trip anyway. I do usually take some kind of hot drink with me on a backpacking trip, like tea or hot chocolate or both. But it's pretty hot at the moment in summer in South Africa, so I'm okay with just sticking to water. I think it'll be fine. Anyway, back to the food. I am going to be having my last 2 of these Weet-Bix Bacomo breakfast biscuits. I actually quite like these. I might even consider just buying these normally for a backpacking trip. They've actually worked really well. And then I think I'm also, along with these, going to have one of my last 2 packets of knickknacks, and I'll save the other one as a snack for later in the day. I love these knickknacks, so they've been quite a nice little treat to have. I don't know if I would get the Wonder Bars again. They're very cheap tasting chocolates. Like, they're mostly just really sweet without much of a chocolate flavor. Another thing that I really think I would do differently next time is I would include some kind of cheaper dried fruit and vegetables. Something like fresh carrots, because they're reasonably inexpensive, and I've taken them on backpacking trips before and they last pretty well because it's just like a hard root vegetable. And something like raisins maybe for the dried fruit. That's about the cheapest dried fruit that I know of, which I think will at least just add a little bit of something extra. At the moment with my current choices, it's very carb heavy and there's not a lot of variety, and you do get a little bit sick of kind of the very like processed taste of everything. But I mean, on the plus side, I have far more food than I actually need. This does 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners, and I have enough food left over that you could definitely do at least another lunch and breakfast or dinner and breakfast. So you definitely have either some emergency food or you could just go on a bit of a longer trip. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to see more from me, then you can click on my channel name to see videos that I've made in the past, or you can subscribe to my channel to see videos that I'm going to make in the future.